Now, I bet you want to know why Jay-Z and Beyonce's name keep popping up around the whole Diddy thing. Well, that's why I'm here. Now, first thing you gotta know is when somebody like Diddy gets taken down, things always start out as a rumor. Diddy has had rumors floating around for like decades.
The entire industry freezes the moment the new documents drop. Another wave of revelations, deeper and darker than anything that came before, detonates through the world like a blast of cold air.
Well, Jay-Z had a problem. He right there in the corner, by the way. Jay-Z has had a few rumors himself, but more like speculation. People see Jay-Z in a picture of R. Kelly, they're like, I guess they both make music. Then Jay-Z with Harvey Weinstein. People are like, I guess they both do business. Then, of course, Jay-Z with Diddy. Now, hold on. Here's the thing. Jay-Z and Diddy go way back. Like back to the days when they were both coming up. So you could say they might just have a lot of respect for each other. But on the other hand, people are like, well, if you've known each other that long, Jay-Z, you must have known what Diddy was on. But Jay-Z has always had a history of keeping quiet, which brings us to Aaliyah. Now, I'm sure y'all remember R. Kelly dated Aaliyah when she literally needed her parents' permission slip to get married. Now, if I remember correctly, her parents got the permission slip and said, marry who? And that's how this whole thing got exposed. Now, a lot of people in the industry actually knew about this relationship because they would work with R. Kelly. They would be in the studio with R. Kelly. Now, according to Dame Dash, who listened closely, was Jay-Z's first business partner and also dated Aaliyah when she was 21. He said this is how it went. He said he didn't want anything to do with R. Kelly because everyone knew what type of timing R. Kelly was on. He looks over at Jay-Z and Jay-Z's out here creating collab albums with R. Kelly. But then he saw why. For starters, everyone had a crush on Aaliyah. People were waiting down the clock until she turned 18. But Jay-Z decided to get a head start. Now, there was absolutely no proof that Jay-Z went after Aaliyah, but people were like, let me see another picture. But apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now, what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the, like what happened to Diddy, making people wonder. Nas came out, well, he technically didn't come out and say this, but while he was having his legendary beef with Jay-Z, he's doing a radio interview and he's saying, it's weird that Jay-Z be working with people that need a permission slip to marry somebody, R. Kelly. But again, rumors, kind of like what was happening to Diddy. But then this lawyer comes out and says, boy, do I got some news for y'all. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Now, he's going after Diddy. Specifically, listen closely, anyone that Diddy might have done something to, or anyone who's watched Diddy do some of these things and stayed silent about it. Now, first of all, the lawyer's taking calls from anyone. So theoretically, anyone could just call trying to get some money saying Diddy did this to me, Diddy should pay me. But in the lawyer's defense, I'm sure he's looking for people with proof. Honestly, I don't know him. He could be trash. Anyway, what he said next is what got people interested. He said, and I got some names. He said some wild names. Some names that will blow your mind. He's selling this. He's saying, yo, y'all finna wild out when you hear these names. I'm not gonna say it now, but y'all finna wild out. So people are like, Now, in Beyonce's case, it's just because she's married to Jay-Z and she's been in the industry for like 20 years. People are like, you must have known something. But that's all people have. Now, in Jay-Z's defense, he's famously all about the money. As far as we've seen, he's always been around Diddy for like a public event or when money's involved. And the same could be said for all the other people he was around. He could have thought, oh, R. Kelly's huge right now. Let me do an album with him to boost my name up. Many people have come out saying Jay-Z is a cutthroat businessman, kind of like Bill Gates, who I actually think is a sociopath, but that's a story for another day. And cutthroat businessmen will cross any line and work with anyone to get what they want. Because at the end of the day, to them, it's just business. That being said, that doesn't make this a good thing. That's why Jay-Z can still be prosecuted for watching crimes happen but not saying anything about it. But at the end of the day, as you probably know, Jay-Z is rich. He's not going to jail for that. It would need an insane amount of evidence, and even then, he would still probably get off. But that doesn't really matter in some cases. A lot of times, reputation is the most important thing. So a lot of times, the courts will take a case they know they can't win or sign a deal just to get the rumor mill started and get people going, yo, why did Bill Cosby sign a deal? For those of you that don't know, Bill Cosby was arrested like 20 years before the big, allegations came out. They told him, just tell us you did it and we won't broadcast this. He said, absolutely. I need to save my reputation. People started asking questions. Boom, boom, boom. 20 years later, he goes to jail. But he actually did get out because the cops did say they were going to keep his confession low-key, but then they used it against him.
Two towering figures, long believed to operate above scrutiny, above consequence, above exposure, are suddenly thrust into the center of a rapidly expanding case that refuses to slow down. And this time, the details aren't just messy, they're horrifying. This isn't just a rumor gone wild. This isn't speculation. This isn't gossip. This is a full-on collapse. A total unraveling of the quiet world these two individuals built behind closed doors. For years, they moved with absolute confidence, backed by power, money, and influence. People didn't question them. people didn't challenge them, people didn't dare to disrupt the image they projected. But now the full weight of their past hovers over them like a storm cloud ready to burst. The case grows bigger by the hour, investigators dig deeper, witnesses step forward, and the truth, long buried under layers of control, is finally fighting its way into the light. And the deeper they go, the more disturbing the revelations become. What started as a single thread now stretches into a tangled web.
What's happening with Puffy? I know you're not really tapped in, but what is
the last thing I saw was like a guy there. He was like, yo, he like pushed me into the truck. It really hurt. And he sodomized me. Like he sodomized me. I was like, yo, look, I could find other things to do for money.
Did you see the video?
I could find other things to do for money. But I'm not sure I can say that for money. Like somebody pushed
How
me
much?
into a
How
truck.
much? How much? How much is this guy trying to get?
I don't know. Like it's a simple suit situation, but it's like
20 mil, I could say it.
You still have to black his face out. You still have to mimic his
Son,
voice because he's like,
But his
damn.
voice wasn't even that different.
And that a little deeper. I was like almost like, no, that's you, young buck.
Yo,
I almost felt like it was him. I almost knew who it was. You know what I mean? I was like, nah, that's Buck. You trying to get his money right.
Yo, you can't say that dudes are having sex with other dudes, bro. The internet might come for you.
You can say sweet love, sweet love.
Yeah,
Sweet love.
you gotta say make sweet love.
That's
Make sweet
young
love.
buck breaking right there.
Make sweet love.
There's rules to rap beef now, bro.
People
Not in
gonna
your
know.
day.
Well, I'm saying like, God,
That was
man,
good.
why is your homeboy so close to you when you come out of there? Look like you guys just made sweet love. I'm gonna say sweet love instead of anything that says.
That's to me, that's better because they're gonna try to make it something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was smart. Like I didn't think about that. I say things that are borderline. Like I'm like, oh my God, you're in trouble.
You?
Like all the time.
No.
Because I just say.
Nah, but you
the
got
way I
close
think.
when he offered to take you shopping.
Yeah, you see, now Meek is in the same shirt. He's out there in the same shirt. This is not
Holy
Photoshop.
shit.
This is really happening. I'm just saying to you. No, stop it. Look, you set that up. Look, you set that up. This dude, he's in the same shirt. Matching shirt.
What do you mean he's in the same shirt?
He obviously was not offended by what I was offended by. This is what I'm saying, bro. Like you go, I'm like, nah, it was odd. Like,
is the GOAT.
this is some of the things that people say. Like, girls, guys may say to a girl, like, let me take a shot. See,
Damn.
they found it that quick.
What do you think is happening in the middle?
I don't know what is going on.
Wow,
there.
they
Like,
found Kendrick and Wifey.
that's
You can't dress up Kendrick like that. Oh, you can't dress him up like that.
No, it's jokes.
That's messed up. That's like the White Chicks movie, bro. You can't do that.
Yeah, that was comedy. That was good.
Yeah, but that
You
was,
get away with Wifey.
that's obviously doing shopping. They got the same outfit.
Yeah,
And
it's
wore
true.
it in public.
Yeah, that's a nice shirt. Though. It's a nice shirt. All right, so when he said the shopping line in real life, what did you say?
I said, let me get away from him. Because he was like, yo, you hot now. Now we gotta hang out now. Like hang out.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know, man. I take you shopping and I get you some flash and you could give me the hood shit. And I was looking and I was like, let me just move away from him because I'm gonna mess up the wedding. I always say to myself,
It was someone's wedding.
it was Chris Lighty's wedding. He's in Miami. Nori's there. Nori knows this because I looked at him like, yo. You heard what he just said, right? He's like, yo, certain things they let it go by because it's Puff. Like they would look, like he would say stuff, and it's like he wasn't like in the closet, he was like in the hallway. Now you see so much shit that you go, wait. No, this was visible,
He
guys.
was in the hallway. We saw the video.
You see a
We
lot
saw
of
that
shit.
video.
It comes out later, you're like, that's not the closet, that's the hallway. He didn't give a fuck. Like, you can tell that he was already...
Nah, New York is dope. Because when Fab, he was like, yo, Fab, we ain't party.
Party?
Fab was like, nah, we partying tonight.
He's like, no, but he didn't party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, they let that one go? Like, I had to say something about it later because I was like, oh, it was fair.
What does it feel like all these years? You being the only one calling this out.
I look like I've been the crazy guy for a long
They
time.
said that you're a hater. They said
You're a
you're
hater.
crazy.
You do this. Yeah, and now everybody's complaining.
Web connecting events, decisions, alliances, and patterns that have gone unnoticed or intentionally ignored for years. Inside the industry, fear spreads faster than wildfire. Phones stay on silent because nobody wants their voice recorded. People whisper in hallways and stairwells, terrified of being overheard. Those once closest to these two figures suddenly scramble to distance themselves, pretending they never saw anything. never heard anything, never benefited from the connection. But the truth is finally too loud to deny. The documents begin revealing behaviors that no one expected, patterns that now look obvious in hindsight, decisions that seemed harmless at the time now appear sinister, relationships that were framed as partnerships now feel calculated, and the connection between these two individuals, once seen as a powerhouse alliance, suddenly looks like something far darker beneath the surface. It all starts becoming painfully clear. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't.
And if my ass is hurting, there's all this shit that's coming.
50, you can't make jokes about it.
No.
The internet might come for you, bro.
All I'm saying
It might come from you.
You see it now. All of these complaints. People were damn, they were and pillaged. This was what was going on. Right? And what do I get for I went through years of a hater. You're a hater. You want this and that. I'm just watching. Like, I look at things and go, when you see the new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay, I go, oh, shoot. Like, then I think about it, I go, that had to be there. So when I was saying that he was missing, he just wasn't actively being out there because they was dealing with that.
Wait, do you think there's truth to the Jay thing? There's no way.
Know. Like that, look, like if you say, I have this thing where I'm conflicted when it takes you 20 years to remember something happened to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I go, oh, so 10 years, 20 years later, it comes back. And it's like all of Puff's problems are coming from the ministers touching little boys.
What you mean?
The laws are the way they are because
Because
Because of the priests.
the priests touching little boys.
Oh.
Why are we looking at me, bro? I
That's
just go to church. I just go to church, right? I have nothing to do with this. I have an alibi.
That's why the laws allow them to go that far back.
Turn away from you right there.
I'm just a Catholic kid. Come on.
You've been dead, dude.
No.
What's the body of Christ taste like?
It's sacrilegious. You can't do that.
He's like, yo, drink my blood.
Yo,
So it is crazy when after 20 years they come out. That shit is foul.
But with Puffy, you were the only one saying anything for decades.
yeah, because we had our own little thing.
But you were the only. Everybody
your
else
thing?
was scared.
Huh?
But everybody else was scared. So you think maybe this is a similar thing where everybody else is scared? I don't know what it is. I'm just
I
asking.
think that they're scared.
But if they're scared,
But
then maybe
you've
that's
been
why I'm thinking.
insinuating Jay-Z a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you've been saying people gonna come for him a little bit.
No, I thought he would do funky stuff like the Super Bowl. Like, it was not okay for me to be at the Super Bowl.
Oh, he tried to cut that.
Yeah, he didn't want me to. Well, they worked to make like there was an issue with me in the NFL that doesn't exist.
So
then-
he did the corporate way of
Yes.
trying to keep you down.
I'm
Oh, it's
doing
not
it.
me. It's not.
It's them. And then when M says he's not gonna do it if I'm not there, then
Let's go.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know,
That's
But
what I'm
what's
talking
your
about.
and Jay's issue?
it's just competitive stuff. for
It's
the
really
music.
just
This is
competitive.
what I'm saying. When it gets past actual art, like actual music, and you're trying to block something that's in business, then it feels weird. It feels like we should be having beef.
Oh,
Okay.
So
I can
that's the
see that.
behind the scenes thing that we don't see. It's
Yeah.
one thing when there's like people talking about each other in music.
Yeah.
But there's behind the scenes business deals that a guy is getting involved with on the side. And it's not like you're going to go public and be like, they tried to stop my vitamin water.
Yo, this deal, and
Yeah.
you go, he said that to you, like.
Okay.
Wow.
I get that.
Like, they'll speak to your temperament. Like, say, you know, if 50's a little crazy, he'll say anything. You see what saying anything did to Kanye.
So they're trying, he's basically trying to scare
yeah,
people out of
out
doing
of
deals
doing
with
it.
you. Interesting. And then M shut it down and he was like, yo, it's got to happen.
If he's not coming, I'm not coming. And then it changes the whole thing because he really is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they can say what they want.
Yeah, no.
But when we go to the stats, the actual
Numbers don't
They know the
lie.
numbers.
Yeah, he's the
And that was
biggest
before
one.
the days of the bots and all that shit.
There's a, you know, M obviously speaks with you with high praise, but there's a few videos that I see and
Accidental. This was deliberate. A long-standing system built on secrecy, silence, and the naive belief that nothing would ever catch up to them. And the most jarring part? People around them always suspected something was off, but they were too afraid to say anything. Fear was the glue that held everything in place. Fear of retaliation, fear of losing opportunities, fear of being blacklisted, fear of what these two individuals were capable of. But when the first crack appeared, the entire structure began to crumble. The case now reaches levels so intense that even veteran insiders admit they've never seen something this explosive. The filings include timelines, statements, receipts, details meticulously gathered over years. It becomes obvious this wasn't sudden. This wasn't a quick investigation. This wasn't spontaneous. Someone's been collecting the truth piece by piece, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And now the strike has landed. Behind the scenes, the two figures scramble. Their teams work nonstop.
The Super Bowl halftime show. But he really wasn't done there, because you know how right after the lawsuit was filed, I mean less than 24 hours, Jay-Z, his wife Beyonce, their 12-year-old daughter Blue Ivy, and Beyonce's mom Tina Knowles attended the LA premiere of Mufasa, the Lion King. This is what we talked about in a previous sidebar. But now, in a deleted post on Instagram, 50 Cent wrote, "Jay said they said I raped a kid. Everybody get dressed, we're gonna see Mufasa," seemingly poking fun at him for going to a movie premiere in the wake of these brand new allegations. Now, to be clear, Beyonce and Blue Ivy both star in that movie. I don't think that they could have avoided the premiere, but maybe some would say you shouldn't have showed up. I don't know. But anyway, I will tell you, I interviewed body language expert Susan Constantine about how Jay-Z appeared at that premiere and whether it told us anything based on his body language. Take a look.
When I look at Jay-Z, you can see his lips pursed. That is a form of agitation. So when we look at that, when people purse or tighten their lips, it tells you a little bit about their cognitions, maybe that he's not really enjoying this as much as he's portraying when he was walking on. And what I'm looking for is a cluster. I see a horizontal stressor right across his forehead, and then he has his hand in his pocket. So we've got three things, which is a cluster. You would think that Jay-Z would have incorporated Beyonce into the mix by putting his arm around Beyonce's waist. We didn't see that here. So that's why I'm saying there's almost like a separation, two different frames. Beyonce, of course, alliances are with her daughter. You can see her leaning her head towards her daughter. Her daughter is out up front, is almost in a princess type of positioning. So overall, when I'm looking at this, the mannequin type of stance that Tina has, the agitation that Jay-Z is concealing. So what I mean by that, it's not an outward or expression. It's actually micro expressions of showing you what some of cognition might be.
But going back to 50 Cent for a second, you know what else he apparently did? Because it didn't end there. He apparently posts an AI-generated video of Jay-Z and Sean Combs in tuxedos getting arrested by police with the caption, "I want to post this, but I'm afraid I'm going to get shot. LOL, laughing emoji." Now, one other thing I have to mention about 50 Cent before we go to other celebrities. So he sat down for an interview with personality Big Boy, and it happened this week, and he addressed a lot of this. He said, "I haven't had issues with Puff where I don't like him. I don't like things that he would do that make me uncomfortable." And in terms of Jay-Z, he said, "I just hope things are all right for him internally. I mean at the crib. Because in the statement they mentioned his daughter being old enough to, because she about 13, so it's the same age as these kids they saying he did something to." And he also said the damage is already done by the allegation itself. And he even claimed that the NFL regarding the Super Bowl show, quote, will fall back in light of this lawsuit, and they won't necessarily be associated to that, meaning the NFL, they won't necessarily stick with Jay-Z. Now, in terms of what he said about Jay-Z's home life, he seems to be referencing Jay-Z's statement that was put out after the filing of this complaint. And the statement accused Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, of trying to blackmail him to settle the case before filing what he claims are false allegations. And he said the following, "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friend..."
Trying to control the narrative, but every hour brings another leak, another revelation, another crack in the armor. They try to project confidence, but internally, panic eats at them. They know exactly what they hid, what they avoided, what they suppressed, and they know the public is about to see everything. They're not worried about the accusations, they're worried about the exposure, because exposure destroys everything they work to build. Their image, their influence, their hierarchy in the industry, all of it hangs by a thread. People once loyal to them begin flipping, quietly at first, then more openly. Those who were silenced before now feel emboldened. Those who were intimidated now feel protected by the storm surrounding the case. Everyone who has something to say suddenly realizes this might be their only chance. And the truth begins spilling out faster than anyone expected. The public watches, stunned but captivated. They start digging into old interviews, old footage, old statements, searching for clues. Suddenly moments.
Friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. So that was basically what 50 Cent had to say so far. But going back to Tina Knowles, remember I mentioned her, I want to talk about her for a second and talk about her, I don't want to say reaction to Jay-Z's lawsuit, because as you'll see, she says this really wasn't her, but something very curious happened. There were reports that Tina Knowles liked an ABC7 Chicago Instagram post about the lawsuit, with the caption reading, Sean Jay-Z Carter and Sean Diddy Combs are accused of raping a then 13-year-old girl at an after-party following the 2000 Video Music Awards, according to an amended civil lawsuit that was filed Sunday. So, did she really like that? Well, she says no. In an Instagram post, she denied liking the post, claiming her account was hacked, writing, as you all know, I do not play about my family. So if you see something uncharacteristic of me, just know that it is not me. And please stop playing with me. No weapon formed against my family shall prosper. And of course, as I mentioned, she attended the Mufasa premiere with Jay-Z and the family and looked in good spirits. So maybe that reaction wasn't really a reaction. But I will tell you who did react. Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. So let me set the stage for this one. So we go to the December 10th broadcast of Inside the NBA on TNT. And there is a discussion among the group of Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, Shaq, and Barkley about who could face off against commentator Stephen A. Smith on the basketball court. So at one point, Charles Barkley says to Smith, you said the man isn't on your level. Stephen A. played college basketball. Now Smith defends himself, says that he's a champ, and then he says to Shaq, listen, man, do you think Jay-Z or... And he starts to trail off. And before he can finish his thought, Barkley jumps in and goes, probably not a good time right now. All the panelists start laughing. The crew in the background starts laughing. Smith jokes and says, you're silly, man, while shaking his head. And then Shaq gets up, walks off stage, and hides behind a pillar in a joking fashion as Ernie Johnson says, go and see if you can fix the wall, will you, Shaq? Now, he ends up coming back to set without really further discussing Jay-Z. Just an interesting response, considering Jay-Z and Shaq have been photographed together through the years. But I guess what I'll say is just a lighter moment in what is a very, very serious and deeply disturbing set of allegations. Now, while that wasn't really specific what to make of that reaction, I will say who did get into specifics. Charlemagne. So he hosts The Breakfast Club, and he says the following. Good for Hove. I'm glad Jay-Z responded just like that because this has been going on for too long. It is a grift. These accusers go to these lawyers with all these salacious claims. The lawyer will put more sauce on the salacious claims. They reach out to your team, say if you don't settle with us, we're going to go public with these claims. They'll tell you they're going to hold a press conference. We're going to do interviews. And a lot of people settle because they don't want the bad press. And most people settle. You'd be surprised how many people settle. The court of public opinion makes everybody guilty, so it makes a lot of people settle. And Hove said, kiss my A, I'm not settling, and I don't blame him. And then he went on to say, at some point, this litigious blackmailing and extortion has to stop. And he also...
That seemed insignificant now look suspicious. Words that sounded casual now seem coded. Behaviors that looked normal now appear manipulative. Everything starts making sense. Every partnership. Every disappearance. Every unexplained shift. Every fallout. Every rumor. Every whisper. The puzzle pieces snap together, forming a picture that the world was never supposed to see. Inside the inner circles, people panic. They know that the fall of one powerful figure is dangerous, but the fall of two connected ones? That's catastrophic. That means secrets will spill not from one empire but from two. That means nobody is safe. Assistants, producers, executives, associates, consultants, anyone who stood near them now risks being dragged into the crossfire. Meanwhile, the pressure on the two individuals reaches unbearable levels. Even in private, their confidence cracks. They blame each other, They blame the system. They blame people who turned on them. They blame anyone except.
Also added, what you hear is this, right? You hear the initial accusation, but you don't ever see when the case gets dropped. You don't see when the case actually gets dismissed. That is a really interesting reaction. I mean, seemingly, he's not believing Jane Doe's claims, or Tony Busby, at least as of now. And seemingly, he is praising Jay-Z and his lawyers' aggressive strategy. We've talked about this before. Jay-Z knew this lawsuit was going to be filed. He had that response prepared. He and his attorney have been actively fighting since this case got filed to get the case dismissed. And they've been arguing that Jane Doe should have to reveal herself. And to not do so is procedurally improper. They have even said the case should be thrown out. They've gone on the offensive, calling Busby's actions extortion and blackmail, criticizing him for sending a demand letter prior to him being named in the lawsuit. And apparently Jay-Z filed his own lawsuit against Tony Busby, accusing him of extortion and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, some would say that Busby didn't do anything wrong, that a demand letter is very standard practice. You send the demand letter to try to settle the case or go to mediation. That is standard practice. But if Jay-Z is saying these claims against him are false, and this was just an attempt to settle so he wouldn't be exposed, this isn't right, he says, and he's fighting it. I will say it'll be interesting to see if more lawsuits come out against Jay-Z, because I will say in his lawsuit against Tony Busby, he seems to indicate that Busby has accused him of misconduct, not just with respect to this Jane Doe, but at least one other person. And if he gets hit with more lawsuits, lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, more allegations, things could change. Public perception could change. And you have to think about what happened with Sean Combs, right? He settles with Cassandra Ventura in her sexual assault lawsuit back in November of 2023, but the day after she files it, after we've all seen the allegations of rape, domestic violence, sex trafficking, then he settles. So what happens? The floodgates open. Combs is hit with lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. He was just hit with 3 more lawsuits being brought by unidentified men. And it sure didn't help him that the 2016 video of him purportedly beating Cassandra Ventura in a hotel hallway was released by CNN because it gave more validity to the claims against him. And look, there are those who are praising Jay-Z's strategy because this is the first accusation. He's never been accused of this in the past, as far as my understanding is. And if he can convince the court that Jane Doe has to reveal her identity, then that may cause her to abandon this lawsuit because she may not want to proceed in a very public lawsuit with so much sensitive details that for the whole world to know who she is. That could be a major win for Jay-Z. But the other way of looking at it is, besides the fact that if other lawsuits come out, that might change the scenario, Busby has said that Jay-Z and his lawyers are not doing the right thing, that their tactics of filing a lawsuit against him, accusing him of pressuring a different woman to alter her own sexual assault story when she reported her claims to Busby. Yeah, there was that allegation too, that she felt pressured by his firm to change her story. He's saying, Busby, all of this, he's saying that what Jay-Z and his lawyers are doing is potentially illegal and even defamatory. So you have two sides here, two sides of this. I will say, though, based on the trajectory of other Sean Combs cases, there is a chance Jane Doe, here, the person suing Jay-Z, will have to reveal her identity in the civil lawsuit. I've talked about this before, but there is an argument that has worked in Sean Combs cases. Look at the
themselves, but deep down, something darker festers, the knowledge that this moment was inevitable. They just hoped it would never come. The allegations in the case become increasingly disturbing, not just misconduct, but control, manipulation, networks of influence, intimidation tactics, hidden alliances, deals that were never meant to be public. And everything points toward a coordinated pattern that stretches far beyond what the public ever imagined. This isn't a scandal, it's an entire ecosystem unraveling. People who once idolized these individuals now look at them with disgust. People who envied them now pity them. People who feared them now watch their downfall with relief. The narrative shifts from admiration to revulsion in record time. Over time, the case takes a life of its own. Investigators uncover more than expected. Witnesses recall more than they initially admitted. Documents surface that were once thought destroyed. Every new discovery widens the cracks in their empire. And through all this, the two individuals desperately cling to the illusion of control. They issue vague statements. They send representatives to speak for them. They try to portray themselves as victims of a smear campaign. but nobody buys it. The world has seen too much. The timeline is too detailed. The testimonies are too consistent. The behavior is too suspicious. No amount of spin can save them now. As the case deepens, the public realizes something chilling. The connection between these two individuals was never just professional. It was strategic, tactical, purposeful, a partnership built not on trust, but on mutual protection. One shielded the other. One enabled the other. One helped the other avoid consequences. One ensured that both remained untouchable. But once the shield cracks, both collapse. Their downfall becomes the industry's biggest story, bigger than any award, any success, any legacy they ever tried to build. Their private lives are dissected, their alliances crumble, their supporters vanish, their influence dissolves. People start rewriting history in real time. They were never role models. They were never geniuses. They were never pioneers. They were architects of secrecy, and their own secrecy has finally destroyed them. The deeper the revelations go, the more terrifying the patterns become. Patterns that suggest this case is just the surface. Patterns that imply others may come next. Patterns that hint the industry may be facing a massive reckoning. Because if two of the most powerful figures can fall this hard, anyone can. What remains is the truth, the one thing they spent their entire careers avoiding. And the truth, once revealed, never goes back into the shadows. The case is far from over, and the revelations are far from done, but one fact is already crystal clear. Two giants have fallen, and the industry will never recover from the impact.